Is the EcoFlow totally garbage? Well, it might be in your situation. On one of my recent videos, that's exactly what somebody said. EcoFlow, totally garbage, exclamation points. Carol. So today I want to address that comment head on. Is the EcoFlow totally garbage, or is there more to the story? First off, EcoFlow has sold literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of these units. If they were totally garbage, EcoFlow wouldn't be in business any longer. Negative comments tend to get amplified by the internet. Surprise. Obviously, there's going to be some issues when a company is manufacturing and exporting worldwide something as technical as this piece of gear. Whether that is, a 1 or 2% built in, we're going to have problems. We're going to have some lemons with these. This is a top tier company. This is one of the best companies, in my opinion, that you can buy a power station from. I'll go over the specs here quickly, just in case you're not familiar. The EcoFlow Delta 2 Max is a 2048 watt-hour capacity power station. It's expandable to over 6,000 watt-hours with extra EcoFlow batteries. Of course, you can use your own batteries and expand this to the moon. As a lithium battery that can handle over 3,000 cycles, and in real-world use, this is about 10 years of continuous use. That's huge. They charge super fast, 0 to 80% in about an hour on AC, and it has solar input capabilities up to 1,000 watts. The other thing that I really like about this, it's one of the lightest and smallest power stations in its class. So 50 pounds, beautiful. Let's go over the pros and then we'll get to the cons. I've been using this for 4 seasons. This is my second fall with it now, and I have had no issues with it, except for one. It has a little sort of a finagly thing where if the power consumption is lower than 10 watts, and I'm guessing around 6 or 7 watts, for some reason, sometimes it doesn't always display that power consumption. I have a good idea after using it for a while, knowing exactly how much wattage my lights and different things that I'm using inside the cabin, how much power consumption they take. So I was demonstrating in my last video that I turned on 2 lights, which I know run about 6 or 7 watts between the 2 of them. And it was just displaying 0. It was 99% charged, and it was saying, no, you're not using any power. I knew I was. So that's one of the things that maybe actually I just need to recalibrate this. I'm not sure, but that's one of the issues that I have with it. Sorry, and I was talking about pros here. So the pros are super portable. I have brought this back and forth between the cabin and my house. We had a power outage last year. I just nipped up to the cabin, picked this up, and then we plugged the freezer into it and a couple of lights. We were good. Power outage didn't last that long, but we could have gone 24 to 48 hours, no issues, with no food spoiling. It's quiet. I've read some reviews that people are, complain about the fan noise. I also have a All Powers R2500. Exact same specs pretty much as this, very, very similar. And its fan, like, it's crazy loud. I like that generator quite a bit, except that it's huge, it's bulky, not huge, but it's twice the size of this. But that fan noise is just, it sort of squeals and whines, and I hate it. Yes, I hear the fan on the EcoFlow when I'm hitting it hard. But it's not bothersome. It's sort of at a continuous rate. So it's not going, it's just this sort of hum in the background, much like a fridge or anything else that requires a small fan. So that hasn't bothered me. And in fact, that's a pro. The other thing that I like about it is just the amount of inputs this thing has. Not all power stations are going to give you 6 AC outlets. You've got a cigarette lighter port, which I've heard that some companies are eliminating this. This comes in really handy. I've used this quite a bit, so that's another thing that I like about it. It's a little bit funny that it has all of the power outlets at the back, and then the display is at the front. I wasn't sure about it at first, but I actually really like it. It works for me, and it works for me in my setup because I have access to both ends. of this. So I have everything plugged into one. I like that it keeps a nice clean face to it. I don't have to look at all those wires. Although the way I have it set up, I actually am looking at the wires now, the plugs. But those are the things that I like about it. I also like that they're a top tier brand. They have a 5-year warranty. That's a heck of a warranty. They say that these are going to last 10 years. So we'll see. You know, I have never had to deal with a warranty claim. And I have read online about, of course, there are some people who have just nightmares and shipping back and forth. And they say, oh my God, they didn't help me at all. But I'm not seeing the internet just riddled with those. And again, if a company is that bad, they're going to be out of business. Hopefully they're not out of business before I put this video out, but I doubt it highly. And in fact, I'm looking forward to testing their Delta Max 3. Delta 3, maybe they're just calling it the Delta 3. But anyways, today we're focusing on this. Let's talk about the cons. Is the EcoFlow Delta Max 2 totally garbage? Well, it might be in your situation. Everybody has a unique situation. Maybe you're an RVer, maybe you're an off-gridder like me, a weekend warrior. Maybe you're looking for a backup system for your home because everybody's having more power outages everybody's having more power outages these days with the crazy weather that we're having, hurricanes, you name it. I've talked to people who have picked these up for backup systems for those types of situations. That's an excellent situation for this. Just make sure you're powering it all the time, keeping it plugged in. Like any battery, you have to keep them topped up and charged constantly. Or not constantly, but you have to keep them at, between 20 and 80% in order to maximize the battery's life. Talking cons, weren't we? This is an all-in-one unit. Probably the biggest risk that you're taking with this is that if any of the components fail, you've got a paperweight, a 50-pound paperweight. If you've got a do-it-yourself system and you're using a 12-volt battery with an inverter and your own fuses and solar panels, you can replace any one of those components should they fail. This thing, not so much. To counter that, that's where the 5-year warranty comes in. So let's hope that EcoFlow lives up to their warranty continuously. But that's something you should consider, is that, yeah, there's a trade-off there, absolutely. The other thing is price. If you do a build-it-yourself system, DIY, you will save yourself money, absolutely. Some people say you can do it for half the price. Probably can. I would say it's more like 2/3 the price. But the other thing you have to consider is how comfortable are you in building that system? Because, we're talking about energy, we're talking about power, we're talking about potential for fires. You don't have to have an electrician's background or anything to figure all of this out, but you do have to figure it all out. So there's a trade-off too. Do it yourself, absolutely. It's a great way to learn about solar energy. It's excellent to put it all together yourself, so you have a real understanding of how power works and the capabilities and limitations of it. So I actually encourage that. But in the right situation, again, a power station on its own, you don't have to worry about that. You literally get it shipped to you in a box, or you pick it up from your local store and you plug it in and you start using it. Boom, it's that easy. Overkill and underkill. This could very well be overkill for some people, and for other people it just may not be enough. This is a 2,000 watt power station. So if you're just doing like overnight camping and you need to run a CPAP for a couple nights in a tent, a 500 power watt station or a 1,000 watt power station, half the capacity of this, would probably do you just fine. If you're in a situation where you're using this, let's say, for a backup for your house, and you think it's going to be more than 24 hours, or more than, let's say, 24 to 48 hours, you're thinking, a week or 2 weeks off grid, you can still use this, but then you have to start thinking about redundancy. If you don't have any power on the grid, you're going to need a generator, highly recommended, good gas generator, or whatever fuel type. I use gas. It's easy to get. Hopefully we never run out of gas. But in that situation, this may not be enough. You may have to get a bigger, something with a bigger inverter, something that can handle larger surges, and something with a larger capacity to keep running your fridge and all of your appliances for, a week or so. I can tell you that comments like the EcoFlow is totally garbage. I appreciate the sentiment and I appreciate your opinion, but it's not helpful when there's no context around it. I'm glad you didn't say the video is garbage, because I really do try and make my videos helpful and honest. And I'm always honest too that this is my experience, right? I don't build these things. I am not sponsored by EcoFlow or anybody. I paid for this. This was, this came out of my pocketbook. I'm not going to bullshit you, because what's the point of that? I'm literally trying to grow this YouTube channel. The last couple videos have done really well. Thank you so much, actually, for your support and for watching. And truly, my goal is to be helpful and to have some fun in sharing my experience. Some of my other videos have, a bunch of crazy animations and edits. Thank you for that example. But this one is a little bit more informational and straight ahead, because it didn't bother me that I got this comment, but I really wanted to address it head on. Maybe this was too long. I'm not sure. How's my Dr. Pepper doing? Happy off-gridding, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.